People who take massive war crime level dumps in public bathrooms but don't flush. Why? I did this once because I had no choice. I had to be somewhere early for work that was 1.5 hours away. So I'm driving this whole time, before sunrise, drinking coffee, a little nervous for this work thing, and now I have to shit bad. I find a random Denny's and run straight to the bathroom. There's only one stall. I lock the door and turn to find someone clogged the entire bowl with paper and ass gaskets. I proceed to push out this ridiculous soft serve mountain on top of the soggy paper platform. Like a McDonald's ice cream cone, but shit. The entire pile is above water. I had to hover and wipe just to avoid touching it. I had no choice but to top it off with a blanket of shitty paper. By the time I'm done, the summit is a good 3 inches above sea level. I could push that flusher 100 times and the whole structure wouldn't budge. Absolutely shameful. If anyone here is a Denny's employee in Northridge, CA that had to deal with this, I'm sorry. Used to work in a small office with 2 separate bathrooms, one on either side of our office space. Each was a tiny room with a toilet and a sink. There was a guy who without fail, about an hour or 2 after lunch, would decimate one crime scene level mess, with the odor as well, and that odor would waft outward to the nearest cubicle residents, who complained daily. He never flushed, and his excuse was that he'd read how toilets create an aerosol effect when they're flushed, which sends a cloud of mist into the air, and he refused to endure that because who knows who else used that toilet. Which meant someone else got the honor of being sprayed with his leavings. Boss told him he had 2 choices, flush and spray Lysol generously, which truly does little to abate the stench, or use the facilities somewhere else. I'm sorry to say he chose to go to the nearest fast food place instead. To those valiant McDonald's employees, I'm so sorry. You did not deserve that. OMG, my office at my old work was directly across from the toilet. There were 6 of us in that building and it didn't take long to figure out who our terrorist shitter was because she came in at 8 and was in the bathroom by 8:30 without fail. At about 8:40 rolling stink clouds would permeate the complex, my office being hit the worst, but honestly it smelled so bad everyone was near to being poisoned on a daily basis. Paint peeled. Plants withered and died in the wake of the gas cloud. She ate a great deal of fried food and drank nothing but coffee and soda, at least while at work. I took to closing my office door at about 8:20 and took to rolling up a blanket to block the space between the bottom of the door, and it seemed to help at least keep the air breathable without the aid of gas masks. Other tricks we tried were putting a box of matches in each of the offices so we could strike them to cover up the stench, but those got taken away by management. I suppose they feared we'd burn the place down after being blinded by the stench, and dabbing Vicks under our noses. It was truly the worst shits I'd ever smelled, and I don't know why she couldn't retrain her bowels to erupt earlier before she left for work. Her husband probably threatened her with divorce if she didn't find someplace else to poop. Jesus. I worked at McDonald's for 2 years in high school, and what I could literally never understand was the people who threw their used TP in the fucking trash can next to the toilet. Like Jesus, it's called toilet paper. Infuriating. And then there were the people who decided to just shit on the seats. Full disclosure, I just mopped them bitches. I was not getting within 5 feet of someone else's shit for no measly $8/HR while my managers got paid much more than that to count it ill. So I took the mop and mopped the MF toilet, then disinfected it with spray. The mop was easy to clean though. I could just take it to the mop sink and spray that hoe off with an industrial hose and use food-grade disinfectant in a new mop bucket to soak and kill the germs. Quick military story, I used to be a missile officer in the Air Force. A couple hundred times, 392 to be exact, in the mid-2000s, I went out to remote sites and commanded nuclear missiles, etc. Anyway, those remote sites had underground capsules replete with toilets. Some of those toilets didn't work too well on the solids. So, some of my compatriots developed a poop knife, i.e. a butter knife stolen from the site's kitchen tied/taped to a plunger handle. We used the poop knife for months, maybe years, can't remember, exactly. But, it cut a lot of shit down to size. Unfortunately, towards the end of my career going to those sites, that fucking gross knife disappeared and it was theorized that it went back into kitchen rotation. If I had to guess, it was a departing officer's way of saying fuck you to some pretty frustrating, stressful duty. Everybody was wary of every butter knife for months. Well, having had the office by the bathrooms, I can probably tell you. Mostly they just don't know that it didn't go down. Epic filled bowls take more than one flush, and some people's mothers didn't raise them to check their flush. They just get up, hit the lever, hopefully wet their hands, and leave. Other people clog the toilet. In my case we had a plunger, but many bathrooms just don't for some ungodly reason. And even in our case, many people just leave because they don't know how / don't want to deal with a clogged toilet. Again, I blame bad parenting, probably just didn't get enough hugs as a child. Oh, and there were a few people that put fucking paper towel in the toilet. Those are the cat stranglers, you really have to watch out for them. I only recently discovered our toilets at work are this way. In my defense, apparently the pipes are fucked up and it's a delayed reaction. I only found out recently because I was the one of a couple people in the office, and I was having a pretty bad stomach day. I knew for a fact that no one had gone in between my trips, and yet there was my shame in all its glory. It had come back for revenge, or to say hello, I'm not sure. It was not ready to depart this world, it was unfinished business. I did my deed, I watched it flush. The water filled back up, it was clean. Then, I waited. Sure enough, it came slinking back out like a guilty dog after eating trash. I flushed twice for number 2 now. That seems to do the trick. One time I was in a really crowded airport bathroom and had to pee after this long flight. I ran into the bathroom and every stall had a long line coming out of it except for one stall. I took my chances and chose the stall without a line. There was a shit mess everywhere. I really had to pee, so I aimed where the toilet was hiding underneath all the poop. As I'm peeing, a line starts to form outside the stall because the next people in line now think the toilet is usable. I start freaking out because they are going to think I'm the one who left all the poop. I finished peeing, opened the door and shouted I didn't do that. It was like that when I got here. I heard the next guy in line start swearing when he saw what was in the stall. I walked away with the idea that at least it's an airport states away from where I live and hopefully nobody will ever recognize me.